Pastor Owens here, Westside Baptist Church, Pacifica, California. Many years ago when I got saved as just a young man and a young teenager, it was advised to me to read a chapter of Proverbs every day. You may have heard this advice. It's pretty common advice for pastors to give to young people. And because Proverbs is a book written to a young man, and it is a book full of wisdom. So you could read a chapter every day, 31 chapters. That means you could read through the book every month, 12 times a year. And I'm on Wednesday nights teaching through Proverbs, not verse by verse, but we're looking just at the men and women of Proverbs. This morning I came across this verse, and I've read it a million times before, but it kind of jumped out at me about wisdom, something that wisdom does. And I had a couple of thoughts that I thought might be helpful to you. But Proverbs chapter 1, verse number 28. Then shall they call upon me, that me there is wisdom, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. Now, this chapter is talking about wisdom. In fact, we can go back to verse 20 and we can see what it's saying about wisdom. And in fact, I'll read that. I'll start verse 20 and I'll read down through here just so you understand the context. But Proverbs 1, start verse 20. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of the concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorner, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock you when fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. One of the problems we have is we let life pass us by, and we never study the lessons of life which are all around us. We often forget the happenings of life when we should remember them, and more importantly, we should learn from each happening that we see and each thing that we experience as we live this life. Proverbs 15:31 says, The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise. The reproof of life. The book of Proverbs is a book of wisdom. In fact, the very first chapter of this book, God said that wisdom calls out to the simple. It says that wisdom cries out in the street. It cries out in the places of business. It cries out in the entrance of the gate of the city. So really, in every instance of life, wisdom cries out with a loud voice. The problem is most of our ears are deaf to the voice of wisdom. She cries out, but no one listens. She pleads for people to hear her, but her voice is silenced by, the affairs of this life, silenced by the lust of our flesh, the lust of our eyes, the pride of life. She's silenced because we're too busy criticizing others and lifting ourselves up in pride because we would never make a mistake like that. Too busy to learn because we're so proud. If God said in verse 28 that we read there in Proverbs 1, that one day you will call for wisdom, but she will not answer. You will seek early for wisdom, but she will not be found. And the reason why is because God already placed the path of wisdom in front of you at an earlier time of life, and you never took the time to learn from wisdom. And then one day when you could have used that wisdom, it wasn't there because you did not take the time to learn from wisdom when she was there crying out to you, ready to teach you. Now, mistakes are made in your life often, and when you cry out to her, she is silent. Now, let me try to make this a little easier to understand. I believe every situation in life that has come your way, that has come my way, is there to teach us for some future purpose. Many times God allows us to see things in life so we can learn from them something for the future. We can glean wisdom. At our jobs, we see things, we experience things, so we can learn from them to use them in the future. In the church, we're allowed to see things happen amongst people so we can help others in the future. Every sermon that I hear, where the scripture is open, there's something taught there, there's wisdom that is expounded upon from the scripture that is there for me to use. Maybe I don't need it that day, and so I'm tempted to tune it out. I'm tempted to take a little nap, but that's wisdom crying out to you, and you're going to need that in the future. And people's lives, we're allowed to see the mistakes they make so that we don't make the same mistakes. We're not allowed to see them so we can lift ourselves up in pride that we're better than them. See, over and over again in our life, we see things that are placed in our path, and they're there for us to learn so we can use that wisdom later. So we must be careful not to let these times of teaching in our life just pass by without learning from them. Things happen every day of our lives from which we can learn. There's always everybody we come cross paths with, we can learn something from them. Whenever you see these situations happen in your life or even someone else's life, it would be good for us to stop and learn from these situations. God did not allow these things to happen in your presence for no reason at all. You know, allow them to happen in your presence so you can feel good about yourself, because someone made a mistake that you didn't or you would never make. He allowed it to happen in your presence so that you can learn from that, so that you don't make and I don't make the same mistakes, to glean wisdom from all of that. He allowed them to happen to help us for something which we're going to face in the future, to give us wisdom for that. Wise people are not wise by accident, right? They're wise because they learn from every situation in life. They're wise because they sought out wisdom. If you're not careful, wisdom will become silent. And if we're not careful, wisdom becomes silent in our life because she was already in our presence at an earlier time crying out, and we ignored her. We did not learn from her. We've got to be aware of everything that happens in life, and we must learn from it. Don't get so busy that you don't learn from each and every instance of life. God allows things to happen in your presence so you can learn. Be sure that you learn from these situations so that when the day comes and you call out for wisdom, wisdom will respond because you have a relationship with her. You've learned from her every time she has cried out. Remember that verse, Proverbs 15:31. The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise.